So it's a big Warhammer 40k release week with a whole wave of Blood Angels on the way, plus a few more. Let's take a look at the models and their prices, talk about the releases and also the things that are notably missing. Hello and welcome back to Warspecs Tactics, where today we're talking Sons of Sanguinius once more, and in this video let's talk about all the new models and releases that are going to be going up for pre-order this weekend. The Blood Angels release wave is one that we've known has been coming for quite some time now. We had the announcement of their models drop on a bunch of previews in summer, then we had the launch of their sort of vaguely Death Company themed launch box with the unique chaplains and the intercessors with upgrade sprues. But now it looks like it's time for the codex points costs, and all the individual character models to come out, though it does look like the Combat Patrol box is unfortunately missing in action on this one. Hopefully they won't be too much further behind with that. It's one of the last big confirmed release waves for Warhammer 40k for 2024. I guess there'll be the Christmas Battle Force one, and I guess the only other major possibility would be if they choose to do a Guard launch box before Christmas, which is still possible. In any case though, this week we've got the Codex supplement book, the dice and the data cards, Asterath and Lamati is sold individually, the new and all very wingless Sanguinary Guard, and an upgrade and transfer pack, the one that's aimed to be the way that you make Death Company now, the new Sanguinor, Sanguinary Priest, and Themed Blood Angels Captain. I did suspect that we'd probably get some of the unique character sculpts alongside the release wave as well. We had 5 possible ones they'd only released in Battle Force box sets so far, though it seems that Games Workshop is still eking these out yet further. Neither one of the Chaos Lords is coming this weekend apparently. There's the one on foot and the jump one, and Kotias still isn't here yet. It's just the Benefactors and the Jump Canoness that are getting their solo plastic release. From the gameplay point of view, Blood Angels players have known the rules for their codex for quite a long time now, given it's been in circulation since the big box came out, but at least with the release of the codex in full, it means that we should get the new Blood Angels points kind of soonish. If they go by their normal patterns and release them on a Thursday before the book appears in stores, I guess that'll mean that it'd turn up on the 17th of October. For these ones pre-orders, they'll be going live on the 5th of October on the Saturday, and then should have a full release on the 19th of October. As a quick aside before we get into the releases and their prices, if you were looking to pick these up and save money versus the Warhammer web store, I do have a bunch of channel affiliate discount retailers links down in the video description. Element Games in the UK for 15% off, Gap Games in Australia for 21%, Fenris Workshop in Canada for 10%, Wargame Portal in the USA for 15%, and Tash and Galdeep in Germany who offer 16%, though often 20% off pre-orders. A big thank you to any people buying things through those links when they do pick stuff up. It does help to support the channel. First up, let's start with the slight elephant in the room in that the Combat Patrol box is missing. This is the one with 2 sets of Sanguinary Guard, some Assault Intercessors with the upgrade sprue, which I believe is the new one. So I guess in theory you can fill them with the Death Company upgrade if you want to. There's then the new Blood Angels Captain that you can either field as the regular one or the Death Company datasheet. When this comes out it should all be for £100, $168 and €130. I'd say in terms of the number of model content, 17 models for the cost feels a bit plastic light, plus the Sanguinary Guard models aren't exactly universally loved, but despite that I think that this will genuinely be a useful box set for people getting into Blood Angels or who just wanted to pick up the Sanguinary Guard in good numbers. Assault Intercessors feel on point and you can use them as the new style Death Company with upgrades. The Captain models are fun and themed one and is pretty competitive currently. And if you do want to buy Sanguinary Guard, it seems like this could be one of the best options to buy them, given that they're quite a focal point of the kit with 2 sets of 3, and you get them at discount. The theoretical discount is around about 27% off, or 40% if you count the upgrade sprues. It looks like it's going to be around 500 points in the box, both of those numbers being kind of fine by standard 10th edition combat patrols. I think it's perhaps a bit disappointing they don't have this releasing in its own right. I think this was going to be the single most popular box set they released besides maybe the Sanguinor based on some previous polls. So kind of annoying if you really want to get your hands on some of these miniatures and you'll now have the option of either buying them at a higher price or waiting until the Combat Patrol box drops. I'm not sure if that's the intention that Games Workshop has to try and get people to buy some individual kits first. It's a bit out of pattern if so though, given that they usually release the Combat Patrol boxes alongside the main launch of the codex. First off that is actually coming out though, first up we have the codex supplement, that's £20.50, $35 or €26, that'll be the same as the Dark Angels there. Far cheaper than regular codexes, but you're still sort of paying more as a divergent chapters, as if you go by official rule sources, then it's by the main Space Marine book, and then also this. In the book there's the 3 Blood Angels detachments, the Liberator Assault Group, which basically feels like A slightly upgraded Sons of Sanguinius with the ability to advance and charge now, which is kind of terrifying. Angelic Host with its total focus on jump packs, allowing them to jump off the board. Could be scary with Inceptors, and does look like a fun detachment, though probably doesn't have the raw strength of the Liberator one. And then the Lost Brethren one for Death Company, which just feels a bit overly focused on their few datasheets, and just not really giving them enough for that focus. It just looks like if you wanted to run a pure Death Company army, you probably would still have it stronger with the carnage that you can do in the Liberator group. Seems that it's shaping up to be quite a strong codex, unless the points costs on their unique units are kind of punitive compared with where they are now. They did have a bunch of datasheet changes as well, losing a few iconic ones like the Librarian Dreadnought, Gabriel Seth, and the Jump Pack Sanguinary Priest. And the Death Company kit went down in options, now only being represented by Intercessors and the Upgrade Sprue, so you don't get as many Power Fists and things. Some datasheets got some buffs as well. Dante was slightly improved, as was Astaroth, and Mephiston got really quite a big boost. Becoming a lone operative with a 4+ Feel No Pain is pretty scary. Will be interesting to find out the points in any case. Hopefully that will give us a bit more of an idea as to what things are looking strong or not. Otherwise for releases, we've got the Upgrade Sprue and Transfers, £21, $35 or €28. These ones can be found either in the Blood Angels Army Set launch box or in the Combat Patrol when it comes out as well, and it feels like they might be the most efficient way to get your hands on them. If you just wanted one set of fun shoulder pads though, and the other bits here, it's maybe not as bad as some of the other Upgrade Sprues Games Workshop has come out with in the past. I still wouldn't necessarily say that they're standout though. I guess the Eviscerator for use in Death Company would be one of the bigger selling points. I feel like it's the sort of thing though that with a bit of conversion though you could realise something pretty similar. As in general it just feels a bit unlikely that someone's going to buy one of these every single time they want to upgrade 5 Marines to Death Company. Otherwise, for the more central releases besides models, there's 6 red gem style dice. These look like they'll be £19 or €24 or $38. And datasheet cards for reference for units and things, these should be £20, $35 or €26. Then we've got the characters themselves. We had Lamartes and Astaroth from the big boxes. Lamartes is £28, $45 or €35. Kind of standard for Games Workshop's unique character prices here. At least pre-codex he's very strong in game with the -1 damage and the big damage boost for Death Company. He was kind of well received out of the model resculpts as well. New Astaroth was a fairly fun and faithful update to the previous model as well. Great big black pinions and the Executioner's axe held aloft. He got a couple of nice boosts including his own personal melee stats getting better, plus also doing devastating wounds on every charge, not just once per game. The Sanguinary Priest got a rather nice new model, if maybe a slightly simple and effective one. Looks like he's £25, $40 or €32.50. He's got a few different options for assembling him in different slightly aesthetic ways. He's the one that generates the extra 5+ Feel No Pain and extra AP and melee, which can be quite good for Intercessors on foot in particular. Here's a few shots of his assembly options, including different things in the offhand and also his head swap. Otherwise, we had the Blood Angels Captain, who seems to be the same price as regular captains, £26, $42 or €34. He felt to me like he's the spiritual successor of Captain Tycho with a few similar styling bits, and despite basically having the rules of a fairly straightforward captain, he's got 2 data sheets in the codex. The one that just allows different war gear options, where it looks like Inferno Pistol and Power Fist, looks perfectly reasonable for doing Blood Angel's scary melee things. And then also the Death Company Captain one, which is kind of fun to be able to field him that way, but seems very hard to justify versus a Chaplain unless he's ridiculously cheap. Here's a couple of options for him modelling the different war gear pieces that he can take, plus also comparison to Captain Tycho in the past. Then we've got the new Sanguinary Guard. No real surprises for these ones. Games Workshop's 3 model kits tend to be a bit on the pricey side. £37, $60 or €47.50. In general, if it's a 3 model elite infantry kit, Games Workshop doesn't tend to be great value per model for them. The ones of squads of 5 or 10 seem to do far better. They were updated to have some Primaris styled armour. Now get the options of Oncarmin blades versus Oncarmin spears. The spears get lance, though do seem to be kind of directly inferior in game most of the time. And I feel like they are going to remain an interesting unit in game, just as now the only unit that can take mass high AP weapons with 2 damage out of the codex. In general, the internet discourse on these hasn't been very positive at all. People were sad to lose the wings, and perhaps the rest of the models just feel a bit less ornate as a result. The armour does have some cool fancy stylings, but they're not quite as blinged up as the characters. A lot of people weren't particularly over-enthused about the death mask heads either, and criticising them that they maybe looked a little bit too Stormcast Eternal. The data sheet in the codex gets 3 wounds and a 4+ invulnerable as well, and they have more damage, but they'll probably cost more. I think I'll still probably wind up picking up some of these myself for my own Blood Angels, though I'm a bit tempted to see if I can do something else with different backpacks to add the wings back on perhaps. I bear in mind that these come out in the combat patrol as well, and I feel like that's probably the best way to pick them up, just annoying that it hasn't come out yet. Otherwise, we've got the reincarnation of the Sanguinius, maybe not so enormously different stylistically, just a new plastic resculpt. It was well enough received, I guess. He's the standard epic hero pricing at £28, $45 or €35. He's been appearing in quite a few competitive lists with a fast-moving and threatening lone operative that can potentially heroic intervene into melee. I guess he might have a bit more competition for that sort of style role. Now, Mephiston does a lot of the same things. Will be interesting to see which one people take out of the two when we get their points. Finally, and beyond the Blood Angels, we have the Sisters and the Genestealer cult unique characters. The Jump Canoness first came out in the Army of Faith, and out of any of the prices, I feel like she's the only one that I was a bit surprised at. Looks like she's weirdly priced at the sort of special character price point here, £28, $45 or €35. If that is right, then that would imply that she's a bit more expensive than most generic characters. Maybe because she's a very slightly bigger miniature than average. I'm still not really sure why that would justify that kind of price tag, compared with things like the Space Marine Jump Captain, which is a bit cheaper. Quite a cool model with a bunch of different war gear options in any case. People often quite enjoy the Hand Flamer in Bringers of Flame with the enhancements to allow more Flamer hits out of a Seraphim squad, though the Halberd version can be made very fighty indeed. Finally, for a cheaper character offering, we've got the Benefactors from the Genestealers, adding on to their ever-expanding roster of cheap support characters out there. The big-brained anti-tank weapon is £20, $35 or €25, which while still being hideously expensive for a single infantry-sized miniature is about as cheap as solo character models ever get from Games Workshop, I suppose. Though for this guy in particular, I've seen really quite a lot of people converting all sorts of fun creative stuff out there. Feels like you could make a big-brained psycho guy in a number of different ways if you wanted to. In any case, a pretty big release week for 40k. Shame that they seem to be keeping the combat patrol under lock and key at the moment, but I guess it's handy enough for people who wanted to pick up models like the Sanguinius and the Sanguinary Priest. Plus, it will be nice to actually have the Blood Angels Codex points go properly live in the Munitorum Field Manual, and see how the new book does when it hits tournaments. Let me know your takes on all the things down in the comments below. What do you make of Games Workshop's pricing on the models? And as mentioned, for those of you who are picking anything up, feel free to check out the discount links in the video description on Saturday if you did want to save a bit of money versus Games Workshop and help support Auspex Tactics a little bit at the same time. In any case, I'll leave that there for this one. Feel free to subscribe to the channel if you'd like to see more like this. I do tend to post new 40k videos just about every day. And finally, if you have been enjoying all the videos on the channel, I would just like to mention that Auspex Tactics does have a Patreon page as well, and you can find that linked in the video description down below. Channel patrons do get a fair few advantages, seeing certain videos early, regular votes to see what sort of things happen next on the channel, and automatic entry to the regular prize giveaways with a chance to win some big model kits each month. If any of that sounds good to you, or you'd just like to help support, the link is down in the video description. In any case, a massive thank you for listening, and I'll hope to see you guys next time.